Hey Grownups, if you haven't already heard, Next Playground is the hottest item for the holidays. In even more exciting news though, they're doing a Black Friday promotion for a 20% discount until December 2nd. So hurry to get yours now. Next Playground is a new kind of game console that connects families through active play while providing safe, amazingly fun, physical activity that anyone can enjoy, whether you're 3 years old or in your 90s, right at home. With the magic of AI and a built-in camera, Next Playground detects your movement without the need for any controllers or wearables, and with safe, age-appropriate games designed with kids and families in mind. Next Playground is the perfect way for families to bond in games. It also allows up to 4 players to join in, making it perfect for family game night. Easy to set up, simple to use, and with a wide variety of game content, including Peppa Pig, Sesame Street and Fruit Ninja, Barbie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kung Fu Panda, and more. Coming out this holiday, you'll never run out of fun ways to play. To learn more about Next Playground, visit the website, nextplayground.com. That's nexplayground.com. You can even try it out live at popular stores, including Target, Walmart, or Best Buy. This Black Friday, get Next Playground for 20% off. Play that moves you. Hey Grownups, it's that time of year again. We are sipping hot cocoa, gazing at the twinkly lights, and cozying up with a good Girl Tales story. This year, why not give a gift that puts the kids, our Tailblazers, at the center of that story? You can choose from our selection of personalized audio tales at the Girl Tales shop at girltalespodcast.com/shop. Your Tailblazers will lead the adventure in stories like the dinosaur fossil, where they travel back to prehistoric times, and Underworld Rescue, where they work with Greek gods and goddesses to bring stories back to the world. Plus, don't miss our wintry favorites like The Missing Mitten, A Freshwater Snow Day, and much more. We will sprinkle in your child's name and special details, making them the star of the story. Oh, and all of Girl Tales Patreon members receive a 10% discount. Sign up at patreon.com/girltales to get your promo code today. Make this holiday season unforgettable. Head over to girltalespodcast.com/shop to order your personalized tale now. Hurry, this offer ends on December 18th. Hey Tailblazers, I'm Rebecca Cunningham, and this is Girl Tales, a kids podcast packed with girl power and stories where every child's voice matters. Before we get started, I'd like to wish a very happy birthday to Claire in Walnut Creek, California, and Phoenix McNulty in Honolulu, Hawaii. Claire and Phoenix, thank you so much for listening to Girl Tales. Oh, and Grownups, it's that time of year again. We are selling our personalized stories for the holidays. Cozy up with Girl Tales this holiday season by gifting your Tailblazers a personalized audio adventure where they are the hero. Choose from exciting tales like the dinosaur fossil or Underworld Rescue, or some of our wintry favorites like a snow day in freshwater or the best holiday photo ever. Visit girltalespodcast.com/shop to order your custom story by December 18th. That's girltalespodcast.com/shop. Now on to our episode. This is The Early Bird. Enjoy!
Temperature dropping from 59 degrees.
Starting pitcher Dave Chandler.
And to donate a sizable amount to charity.
Once a year, there is a very special tradition that my wife Pippa and I love sharing together: watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on TV. The annual parade held in New York City started in 1924, and we love watching it in the morning while getting ready to have guests over for dinner. My favorite parts are when Broadway shows give live performances, and of course the beautiful giant balloons. Some as big as 5 stories or 50 feet tall. I remember classic cartoon characters like Pikachu and Snoopy being made into parade balloons when I was a kid, and new characters and designs are still being added every year. Fun fact, it was originally a Christmas parade celebrating the start of the holiday season, but it was the 5 giant balloons in the 5th annual parade of 1928 whose escape inspired today's story. Felicity Hayster was sure she had the greatest dad in the world. His name was Charles, and for most of the year he worked in the mailroom at Macy's department store on 34th Street in New York City. He woke up early, leaving their house on Long Island to take a train into the city, and always wore a spiffy suit jacket and hat to work. Felicity, who was 9 years old and mostly went by Faye, got to spend lots of Saturday afternoons walking up and down the floors and exploring the many rooms at the giant department store. Plus, for one day every year, Faye's dad had an even cooler job. For one day a year, he was a balloon handler in the Macy's Christmas Parade.
Good morning, champ.
Good morning, Dad the balloon handler. Faye ran into the kitchen and was met with the smell of strong coffee and bacon. She grabbed a piece and a slice of toast and kissed her father on the cheek. Big day.
Big day indeed, Faye. I'm sorry again that I can't bring you with me this year. When you're a little bit older, or when your mother doesn't have to be at work.
Faye's mom was a telephone operator, meaning she helped connect people to the folks they were calling in the early days of telephones, and she worked long overnight hours. She wouldn't be home until close to 11 a.m., well after the parade had started. And after working all night, she usually liked to try and get some much-needed sleep. Faye was disappointed. She had gone with her mom to watch the parade last year and loved every second of it. But times were tougher this year, and she knew that her mom needed to be at work. It's okay, Dad. Can you tell me again about the early bird?
Well, the early bird is my balloon this year. She's about 50 feet tall, with long, thin legs, and a huge circular balloon as her body.
50 feet tall? That's taller than our house.
It's taller than most houses. Her head is a second balloon that's round on one end with 2 big white eyes on either side, and then becomes a cone-shaped point at the other end to make her beak. She stands on a giant platform that will be pulled down the parade route by several horses, while me and about 20 other handlers hold long poles that will keep her from floating off into the air or getting blown away. Plus, the balloon designer told us that this was the first female character to be made into a parade balloon, which I think is pretty neat.
Wow, I really wish I could see her.
Well, you never know what will happen. You might just be able to see her after all. I have to go, Faye, but keep an eye out for the early bird and know that I'll be thinking about you. You hear?
Okay, Dad. I love you. Have fun. Keep an eye out for the early bird. You never know what might happen. What could that mean? As her dad left for his balloon handler duties, Faye felt her excitement for the big day leave with him. Sure, she was going to get to stay up late with her mom while her dad told them both every little detail about how it all went, but she knew it wouldn't compare to the real thing, especially since she got to see the entire parade in person last year. All the clowns pretending to bonk each other on the head and spraying each other with water from their lapel flowers,
The hard-working horses neighing and working together to pull giant, beautifully decorated floats down the street.
The marching bands that might have been the loudest thing Faye had ever heard.
Faye's mom was always great at shaking her out of a bad mood, but she wouldn't be home from work for another 3 hours.
She walked over to the window that looked out over the city skyline. It was a beautiful view. She was desperate to know what her father had meant before he left for the day. But she knew that she couldn't go play or investigate outside until her mom was home and her chores were done. This hope that she may see the balloons after all kept Faye smiling as she went about finishing her morning chores. She even cleaned up the kitchen after breakfast, washing some of the dishes, the ones that weren't too heavy for her, and putting the cups and plates back into the cabinet once they dried. She had off from school because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but her teacher had still assigned her reading for homework, and so she read and practiced her writing until her mom came home a few hours later. Morning, my love.
Mom, guess what?
It's parade day, and it seems like you are extra excited this year. I have to admit, I thought you'd be disappointed since we aren't able to go.
Well, I am. But before Dad left, he said, you never know what will happen. You might end up seeing the balloons after all.
Faye's mom frowned. Well, now I certainly have no idea why he said that. I cannot imagine how we would get to see this year's parade balloons without going into the city. And I am just too tired to do that right now, my love.
It's okay, Mom. I know you were working hard all night, and I know we can't go see the parade. But I think Dad knows something that we don't.
He better, or we will be having a word when he gets home.
Can I please go out to the field and watch for the balloons, Mom? Please, please, please.
There was an open field directly across the street from their apartment building with the perfect view of the New York City skyline. Well, take a deep breath there, Missy. I know you're excited, but I don't want you to get your hopes up. I have no idea what your father was talking about, but I think there is a very, very good chance we will not be able to see anything from here. Faye's mom looked around at the rather clean kitchen. But it looks like you've finished your chores and even tidied up the kitchen after breakfast, which I think is worth a special treat. Did you do your readings for school?
Yep. Finished all of them, promise.
All right, dear. Promise to stay in the field where I can see you. And please don't get too disappointed if none of the balloons float up high enough for us to see. I really don't know what your father was thinking when he told you that.
Okay, thanks. Love you.
Love you too, my dear.
Faye's mom chuckled as Faye grabbed her jacket and ran out the door. Her dad had put 2 chairs out in the middle of the field for when he and Faye's mom wanted to watch the sunset together. But today, they would be the perfect spot to watch the sky for the early bird. She sat in the chairs, looked out across the river, waiting to see balloons float up above the city streets. Surely this is what her father had meant, that the balloons were so big or floating up so high that she could see them from Long Island. And so she sat, and she sat, and she sat, for what felt like an entire week, but was really only about 2 hours. As she waited, she was certainly getting tired. All the excitement and intense focus had taken a lot out of her. Try as she might, Faye felt her eyelids become heavier and heavier, until finally she fell fast asleep, just as a big circular balloon peeked its beak over the city skyline, far off in the distance, a second too late for Faye to have noticed. She dreamed she was flying. Faye felt herself float up off the lawn chairs, pointed herself toward Manhattan, and looked off across the sky. She could almost feel the wind hit her face as she imagined soaring past buildings and down Broadway, weaving in and out of the marching bands, floats, and clowns, looking for her father. She saw a few parade balloons, a goldfish, an elephant, even a tiger.
but no birds and no sign of her dad. She stopped mid-air and looked up and down the street as the parade marched on beneath her. Then, coming around the bend, she saw a huge balloon head. It took up almost the entire city street and had an angry scowl on its face. The balloon moved in the wind and almost looked like it had seen Faye. It looked right at her and then furrowed its eyebrow in a way balloons shouldn't be able to. The angry-faced balloon spoke.
What are you looking at?
Faye was shocked, having never talked to a balloon before, but she had never been able to fly either, so she decided to begin expecting the unexpected.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Wobblyhead.
Mr. Wobblyhead, but you're easily the biggest balloon I've ever seen. I can't help but notice you. You're literally in a parade,
Well, you're easily the flyingest kid I've ever seen. Are you filled with helium too?
Helium? What's that?
Well, that's what parade balloons like me are filled with to make us float. It's a type of gas. Helium is why handlers like these guys down here hold onto poles attached to the sides of balloons like me to prevent us from floating away. Do you remember what happened last year after the 1927 parade was over?
Of course Faye remembered, but she always liked to hear the story.
Can you remind me?
The parade organizers had included the first ever parade balloon, shaped like a cartoon character, Felix the cat, and filled with helium. But they didn't know what to do with the balloon after the parade was over, so they just let it go, and it floated off into the sky.
Amazing.
It was kind of thoughtless, if you ask me. Probably very scary for that balloon, and it didn't end well. Felix floated up so high that it got too hot from the sun and it popped, falling back down into the East River.
Wow.
Which is why this year there's going to be a special surprise after the parade.
A special surprise? What surprise is that?
Oh, I've already said too much. I have to go.
Wait, before you do, have you seen my dad by any chance? He's a balloon handler who works on the Early Bird.
No, I don't know it. Well, goodbye.
Mr. Wobblyhead passed underneath Faye, scoffing at her on his way. But once he passed, Faye saw an entirely different, smiling face on the other side of the same circular balloon.
Why, hello there, flying child.
Hi. Are you...
Also, Mr. Wobblyhead, yes, we're two-sided, two-faced, balloon mates, if you will. I do apologize for his angry way of being. He was sort of made that way.
Fair enough.
And I've been made the opposite. Hello! I couldn't help but overhear you were looking for the early bird.
Yes, my dad is working on it.
Well, the early bird is at the end of the parade this year, which is terribly ironic, if you ask me.
Ironic?
Ironic, like irony.
Huh. What's that?
Irony is when there's a big difference between what you think is going to happen and what actually does. Like, you would assume someone called the early bird would be early on in the parade, and it's ironic that the balloon comes in towards the end.
Oh, that's fun.
At this point, Mr. Wobblyhead was so far past Faye, she had to shout her responses.
Thanks for teaching me that.
Of course. And wait, if you aren't filled with helium, how are you flying?
I'm honestly not sure.
And with that, the balloon was gone. Faye turned towards the back of the parade, and she flew past floats, clubs, clowns, and plenty of advertisements. She ducked and dived past tall buildings and parade goers who lined each side of the street, several people deep. Then, in the distance, she saw her dad waving to her from the base of the early bird. It was just as big as he had described and was surrounded by handlers holding poles to keep it from flying away. He looked a little stressed and was trying to say something to her, but Faye was too far away to hear it. She flew closer until she could see the scared look on her father's face. But what was he saying? When she got even closer, she heard her mother's voice coming out of her father's mouth.
Look out, Faye! Look out! Look out? Look out for what?
But before she could turn around in her dream, Faye felt herself being surrounded in a hot, heavy rubber. She woke up with a fright and opened her eyes, but all she could see was pitch black. Had she flown straight into a parade balloon? No, she can't really fly. That was just a dream. But this wasn't. The smell of hot rubber surrounded her, and she could feel a sheet of heavy black material all around. And was that her mother's voice? Faye, are you all right? Oh no, it came down right on top of you.
Mom, I'm okay, but what on earth is going on?
Oh, thank goodness I hear you, Faye. It's the early bird. It came down right on top of you.
No way! The early bird!
Faye's fear turned into excitement as she realized she was stuck underneath the giant parade balloon her dad worked with. She pushed the heavy material out of her way and crawled on all fours toward her mom's voice. Eventually, after a lot of effort and sweating, she found her way out from underneath the giant pile of rubber.
Her mom was so glad she was okay and picked her up and swung her around in a big hug. Well, my dear, it looks like you got to see the early bird after all, up close and personal.
A little too close, if you ask me. Is this what Dad meant, do you think?
I do. Look here, there's a patch on the side of the balloon with writing on it. Do you want to read it out loud for me, Faye? Faye couldn't read the box fast enough.
When the parade reached 34th Street, 5 gigantic balloons, this one included, were released into the sky, inflated with helium, non-inflammable and non-poisonous. They were timed to slowly deflate and remain aloft for much of the afternoon. A reward of $100 will be paid for the return of each to Macy's. Congratulations, you have found the early bird. No way!
Faye was so excited. She helped her mom roll the balloon up as some of her neighbors came outside to watch.
She was glad her family would be able to collect the $100 reward for returning the balloon. But her excitement was far more than just that. She felt connected to her dad in a way she never had before. His job was so special, and she felt special that she got to share this moment with him. Yes, times were tough, and her mom needed to work nights, so she couldn't go see the parade herself. But fate had still found a way to bring the balloon to her, even if she had fallen asleep waiting for it to arrive. She held onto her mom's hand as they walked back up to their apartment to share a small Thanksgiving dinner
and wait for her dad to get home,
both dragging the giant deflated balloon behind them.
That was The Early Bird, written by Chenail, produced by Maria Wurttele, performed by Chenail and Rebecca Cunningham, executive produced by Rebecca Cunningham. Girl Tales is a Cordelia Studios production. Grownups, you can get access to ad-free episodes of Girl Tales, as well as a range of other shows for the kids in your life by subscribing to Starglow Plus on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to hear me narrate the original stories of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, or Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, head to patreon.com/girltales and join Team Sunnybrook or above. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, if you loved this story, share it with a friend. Oh, and remember, I believe in you.
There's a hill and a road and a path where I know you must go. Through the sun, wind, rain, or snow, but wherever you venture, and always come home. 'Cause I trust your heart, I trust my heart, and I trust your mind, I trust my mind, and I trust the friends, I trust the friends. I know you will find o'er the hill and on the road, so off you